Hello everybody, how are you doing? This is Xantoné Blacq. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here to play for you the amped Elektra instrument for HALion, HALion Sonic, and HALion Sonic SE. The amped Elektra instrument was inspired by the Hohner Electra, the classic electric keyboard. And the sounds we have here have been recorded from a completely restored, fresh Hohner. And it's been reamped through 3 vintage amps, giving us a wide range of funky, warm, soulful sounds. I'm gonna start playing a little bit so you can hear the sound of the amped Elektra. I'm going to use a preset that I found called Soulful Tremolo that I really love. And after that, we can look at the parameters and choices we have available to us. So let's go. So let's take a look at the sound section of the interface. And the first things we see are bark, release, and pedal. And you're like, what does that mean? So bark, I'm pretty sure anybody who's into electric pianos will know that the more you dig into the instrument, the more of a growl and the more of a low mid frequencies you get coming through in the sound. So this is with the bark on 0. And I'd like to say, actually, it's a really simple interface for you to get around. There's not 60 million things you have to switch and lots of menus and so on and so forth. So it's straightforward. So if I play the C major chord again, now that's with the bark at 0. Now check this out when I take the bark up, and I was playing that at high velocity as well, which is exactly what I'll do with the bark this time as well. And here we go. So basically what I hear personally is I hear more body in the sound. I hear more of the low mid frequencies coming through. And depending on how you want to use this, if you want something to just sit quietly in the mix and just sit there, you could take the bark off. If you want something which is more present and more in your face, you add the bark in. So anyway, there we go, there's bark. And next along, we've got release. And I'm pretty sure that my fellow keyboard nerds will know that the release will look at what kind of sound you're gonna get when you let your hands or your fingers off the keys. So if I have it at the release being at the minimum setting at this point, that's our release currently, right? Okay, so now I'm going to turn the release up and check it out now. So what you're getting is a sound also of the hammers coming back and basically stopping the instrument making sound. You can hear more of that. And the whole point of these fine little details we have in the instrument is to give you as close a sound and close an experience and a way of expressing as you can to the Hohner Electra. So we've got the amped Elektra here. And then I'm moving on to the pedal. First and foremost, let me start off with it off. Right, I'm just using my sustain pedal there, right? Nothing. Okay, so if I move the pedal knob to 100%, now you can hear like the chamber that all the sound is coming from is created in. You can hear it open up. So it's, again, to add this, to have a very realistic acoustic instrument in front of you. You have the option, if you want to have more of a keyboard-like sound, which is basically more electronic, and remove the pedal, remove the acoustic chamber, remove the release. So like when you let go, it just dies immediately. But it's just to give you flexibility, so you can have the amped acoustic sound, and also you can have a dry keyboard sound. Your choice. And we come to the final parameter in the sound area, which is extend range. And this is because the original Hohner Electra had a keyboard range of somewhere between 5 and 6 octaves. And with this button here, or with this option here, you can extend the sound of the Electra to be as wide as an acoustic piano. Now, so we're gonna go across to the amp section, and immediately we see that we have 4 options available to us. The first being the DI sound, which is the original sound from the instrument. Let's have a listen. So for me, I get a reedy sound from this. It's got like that reedy vibe to it, but it's also kind of transparent. Like, it's not like a super thick sound, but like you'll see as we add the other combinations of sounds in from the amps, you can then change and make things less transparent, more solid, and the flexibility is in your hands. Okay, so now I've switched off the DI and I've gone across, and we're listening to a sound through a 70s tube amp, the Ampeg V4. And it's been recorded with a Neumann small diaphragm tube mic as well. And this is what it sounds like. Cool. So for me, I get more of a woody sound, personally. And there's something about the way that it attacks and decays now, which is way more percussive. So this, whereas the DI was more transparent and a bit more reedy, this is far more woody for me. I sound like I'm a wine expert or something, but like this is more of a woody sound we've got going on here. I like this. Personally, I like this one a bit more than the DI sound, but that's just my taste, and you'll decide whatever works best for you. And now I've switched off the tube amp and I've gone across to an amp called the Tower, which is a very, very rare vintage 50s tube amp. And the sound we get from this, let me just play it. So, not to get too elemental on you guys, but I do get a lot more metal from this one. Yeah, it's got more of a metallic ring to it, whereas the one previous, the tube amp, I got a lot more wood from it. So I guess that means that like there's a bit more brightness in this one, and a bit more of the higher frequencies coming through to me, as opposed to the previous one, which was the tube amp, where I was getting a lot more of the low mid frequencies coming at me. And that's what we got there. And now we have our final amp option, which is the Twins. I wonder which amp that's based on. The Twins. I'm sure all you guys will know that this is based on the Fender Twin, recorded through a Fender Twin. And let me play and let's see what we got. Okay, so something like a bit more brittle, a bit more rattly. Because honestly, I'm like, you know, listening to this and like speaking to you from my mind as I hear it. So yeah, a bit more metal, a bit more rattly, and yeah, cool, I like it. And kind of more rocky as well, you know? So those are the options that we've got available to us. And the thing that's really cool about this now is that we have the option to combine them all. Now, what you'll notice as you look along each of these amps is that they have some additional parameters. And those two parameters are level and pan. So if you want to get a really great stereo spread in your mix, in fact, you can decide how much you want. If you want it to be this wide, if you want it to be just this particular segment and this wide, you have the option now to pan left to right on each of these amps and combine the different amp sounds and qualities. And of course, because you have level as well, then you have the opportunity to decide which one is more dominant and what kind of flavor you want. And what's great about this is that on any individual track that you're doing, you can have different flavors. Whereas if you had a Hohner Electra, you have pretty much one sound unless you start putting it through a whole bunch of effects pedals. So you have a lot of flexibility here, which is wonderful. Let's have some fun experimenting. And I'm gonna look at all the different amps. They're all switched on. The volumes are all down other than the tower at the moment. So nice simple chords, something chilled. Something like that, right. So that's just the tower. Let's mix in the tube. Just bring it about here. Yeah, I like that, okay. Let's now bring in the DI. What does the DI give us? What flavor? Interesting. So it's weird, like when you put in the DI now, whereas before I found it quite transparent, with the other guys mixed in, it actually adds thickness. Okay, cool. And finally, let's add in the twins. Who doesn't like twins? Here we go. Yeah, so a bit more brittleness. Now, what happens if we start panning? How wide can we get? Let's see what we got. So I'm gonna now place the DI to about, let's say 2 o'clock, and I'm gonna place these other guys over here. All right, so I've just moved things around a little bit, and let's try this new configuration now. You can see from the screen what my panning choices have been. Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, this is the flexibility that we have available to us with the instrument. And with the original Hohner Electra, which I had the pleasure of playing, there is just one sound. There's one thing you can really approach. You could add tremolo and that's about it. But with this, we have 4 different flavors with the DI, with the tube amp, with the tower, the vintage 50s tube amp. It's a 70s tube amp being the tube, the 50s tube amp being the tower, and then you got the Fender Twin as well. And it's great fun, simple interface, ability to sound more acoustic with the sound parameters that we have available to us in the sense of pedal, the release and the bark, and also you can sound way more like an electronic keyboard as well using those parameters. So we've talked about all the colors and options we have so far, but the really cool thing is that we've got even more colors and even more options via the effects that we have on the instrument. So it's really simple to go to effects. Here's instrument, jump across to effects, just click on that, and here we are. we have 4 effects units. And if I switch this guy on and you look at this drop down menu here, you can see that we've got flanger, phaser, distortion, compression, delay, all the things that you would love and need regularly. So let me start off by adding a flanger on this first guy here. And you've got all the different parameters, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with already. And just very quickly, just to give you a feeling, this is it raw. This is it with that flanger. Okay, let's just fly through this. So I'm gonna put on the second effects unit, and this happens to be chorus in this case. I'll keep it there. Okay, so I think I would like something slightly different. I'm gonna go for a delay. Let's try that out. Okay, so simple enough. Everyone knows what's going on there. I'm going to switch on the third effect unit, and this has got tremolo. Now let me just take out the delay for a second so you can really hear the tremolo. Yeah, so you got a flanger and tremolo there. That's cool. The other cool thing about this is that also you've got the order that these effects are in. So you can choose that. And finally, let's look at a really cool reverb unit that we have here that has a range of impulse responses for chambers, springs, and plates, and recorded with classic reverb units like the Lexicon 224. And here we go. So again, we have a pull down menu here. And if I look at the chambers, let's just try this particular chamber here. And this is our sound. Now, maybe I'm going to take the flanger off this so you guys can hear this a little bit more. Take the flanger off, and let's take the mix up, in fact, as well. Lovely room. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try, in fact, yes, it's a smaller room. What do we got? And moving on, let's try now one of the plates. Plate verb. Woo! You know, even if you wanted to, as a production tool, you can strike this and basically fade in just the tail and not have the attack. It's a lovely tail. Lovely, really, really nice. I like that. My favorite so far. And here we go. We're going to go to spring. Let's try this one here. Feeling very pentatonic today. Yeah, like it. Lovely tail again. So yeah, a range of flavors there. And that's not even including the other 3 effects units that we have available to us. And if I was to come back to here, there's all this as well. So loads of things to check out and loads of options for you to be able to flex with and do your funky soul thing. Okay, so thank you for spending your time with me. I am now going to go through some of the presets that come with the Amped Electra. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you have lots of fun, and I'll catch you the next time.